Governance Considerations. In today's world, organizations must navigate a complex landscape of governance considerations. These considerations include regulatory considerations, legal considerations, industry considerations, and geographical boundaries, each presenting unique challenges and opportunities. In this lesson, we are going to cover these various aspects and highlight some of the significant legal issues an organization might face in terms of governance. First, regulatory considerations. Regulatory considerations are a critical aspect of governance. Organizations must comply with a myriad of regulations, which can vary depending on the industry and the location. These regulations can cover a wide range of areas, from data protection and privacy to environmental standards and labor laws. A prime example of regulatory consideration is the General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, implemented by the European Union. This regulation has a significant impact on how organizations collect, store, and use personal data of EU citizens. Non-compliance with these regulations can result in severe penalties, including fines, sanctions, and damage to the organization's reputation. Organizations must have robust compliance programs in place, including regular audits and training for employees. Next up, legal considerations. Legal considerations are closely tied to regulatory considerations, but they also encompass other areas such as contract law, intellectual property, and corporate law. Organizations must ensure that they operate within the bounds of the law, not only to avoid legal penalties, also to maintain their integrity and reputation. An example of a legal consideration is the adherence to employment laws within an organization. These laws cover a wide range of issues, including minimum wage, overtime, health and safety, anti-discrimination, and employee benefits. One of the significant legal issues an organization might face is litigation, either from other businesses, customers, or employees. This could be due to a variety of reasons, such as breach of contract, product liability, or employment disputes. Therefore, organizations must have robust legal strategies and resources in place to manage these risks. Third on the list is industry considerations. Industry considerations refer to the specific standards and practices that are prevalent in a particular industry. These can include technical standards, best practices, and ethical guidelines. While these may not be legally binding, they often influence the expectations of customers, partners, and regulators. In the software development industry, one of the most widely accepted standards is the use of agile methodologies for project management and product development. Agile methodologies, such as Scrum or Kanban, emphasize flexibility, collaboration, customer satisfaction, and delivering functional software in short iterations or sprints. While there are no legal or regulatory requirements to use Agile, it has become an industry standard due to its effectiveness in managing complex software projects and adapting to changing requirements. Organizations that do not adapt Agile or similar methodologies may find themselves at a competitive disadvantage, as they might not be able to deliver software as quickly or efficiently as other competitors. Organizations that fail to adhere to these industry standards may find themselves at a competitive disadvantage. Therefore, it's crucial for organizations to stay on top of industry trends and standards and incorporate them into their governance strategies. Next up, local, regional, national, and global considerations. Geographical considerations play a significant role in governance. Local, regional, national, and global regulations can all impact an organization's operations. For example, a local consideration might be a local ordinance in a city that might prohibit the operation of businesses in certain zones or areas. For instance, a city might have zoning laws that prevent the establishment of manufacturing facilities in residential areas. Businesses must be aware and comply with these local regulations. An example of a regional consideration can be a regulation imposed by a state or province. For example, in California, the California Consumer Privacy Act, or the CCPA, provides state residents with the right to know what personal data is being collected about them, the right to delete personal data held by businesses, and the right to opt out of the sale of their personal data. We also have national considerations. At the national level, laws like the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, in the United States require businesses to provide reasonable accommodations for employees with disabilities and ensure accessibility for customers with disabilities. This is a consideration that businesses across the country must comply with. Finally, global considerations. A global consideration could again be the General Data Protection Regulation, implemented by the European Union. Even if a company is based outside of the EU, if it collects or processes the data of EU citizens, it must comply with the GDPR. This is a global consideration because it affects businesses worldwide, not just within the EU. One of the significant issues here is the conflict of laws between different jurisdictions. For example, data protection laws vary widely around the world, and an organization must navigate these differences to ensure compliance. This requires a deep understanding of the legal landscape in each jurisdiction and a flexible approach to governance. So remember, for regulatory compliance, organizations must comply with a myriad of regulations, which can vary depending on the industry and location. Non-compliance can result in severe penalties, including fines, sanctions, and reputational damage. Organizations also face significant legal risks, including litigation from other businesses, customers, or employees. Robust legal strategies and resources are needed to manage these risks. And finally, geographical considerations like local, regional, national, and global regulations can all impact an organization's operations. Navigating the differences and conflicts between regulations requires a deep understanding of the legal landscape in each jurisdiction and a flexible approach to governance. By understanding these considerations and proactively addressing them, organizations can ensure robust governance and mitigate the risks of legal issues.